Hi everyone, it's Di here from Di's Den and welcome to another Sunday video. This week we're actually going to do a Christmas card, would you believe, even though we're only in June. But I wanted to use a set that I haven't used in ages and I've always really loved, and I just thought this card would look really nice as a Christmas card, so I decided I'm going to do it as a Christmas card. So just to show you, so this one I did with this is new, but the paper was really old and the cardstock is retired. So but I just want to use up some of my cardstock and my stuff, so I'm using it up and I'm trying to do things that I think people will like, regardless of whether it's Christmas or anything. So this one's just a birthday card and it lays flat like this and fits into a 6x6 envelope, square envelope. So it fits into a lovely 6x6 inch square envelope. But it sits up like this and you write on the back. So that's what it looks like, and it's called a chair step card because it looks like an armchair. It's not really easy to see on that angle, so maybe if I put it that angle you can see it better. You can see the angle. When you see the photographs you'll see it because it'll be straight on, so be able to see it. So I'll pop that out of the way for a minute and I'll show you. I'm using this set called Poinsettia Petals. It's a really old set, but it's one of my very favourites, and I still love it, so I still make Christmas cards using this one. Oh, excuse me. I'm using real red ink. I've actually done all the stamping already, and I'm also using these lovely, oh, I don't know what that's from, Drusky adhesive backed embellishments. So we're going to be using these gold ones here. So they're retired because they were from last Christmas. So let me show you what you need. I've done a fair bit of work here again, as I don't see the point in you seeing me make up this poinsettia. So I've already made up my poinsettia and I've got my two leaves to go with it. So let's pop them on one side. So this is all you're going to need for your card. Let's pop them on one side too, and that's my saying for the front of the card, so let's pop that over there. Okay, so we're going to need a piece of card that measures 6 inches by 11 inches. And then for the middle section of my card, I'm going to need a piece of card that measures 6 inches by 3 7/8 of an inch. Okay, so then for my layer 1, I'm going to need a piece that measures 5 7/8 by 7/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to pop that there because this is where they're going to go, and you will see that when you make the card. And then another piece that's 5 7/8 by 1 7/8 of an inch. Then you're going to need 4 pieces, which I've actually stuck 3 together already, that measure, these are going to go here, 7/8 of an inch by 1 7/8 of an inch. So that's going to go there like that. Okay, then you're going to need a piece that measures 5 3/4 by 3/4 of an inch in designer series paper. A piece that measures 5 3/4 by 1 3/4 there. And then 4 pieces that measure 1 3/4 by 3/4 of an inch that go on the sides like so. Then for my middle layer, which is this piece, you're going to need a piece of card that measures 5 7/8 by 3 3/4. So it's a very tiny little border all the way around, like so. And then you're going to need a piece of designer series paper that measures 5 3/4 by 3 5/8, which is going to go on there like so. Okay, then my writing panel for the back is 5 7/8 by 3 7/8, and then the white piece to go on the top is 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, and they go landscape, not portrait. This one goes portrait, the one on the back goes landscape. And then you need this strap. This is optional, but I think it makes the card stand up nicer. And this piece measures 2 inches by 3/4 of an inch. And that's all of it except for whatever you need for decorating. So this piece is going to go on the front like so. And that measures, let me see, by this piece it measures 3 3/8 by 1 1/4. So let's pop all these out of the way up here like so, till we get to them. Alright, and we're going to start, we are using this piece here. And we're going to bring in our scoreboard. And we're going to score this on the long side at 1, using the small ball, 1 inch, 3 inches, 5 inches, and 7 inches. Now I did see this card done, and this card was done by a lady named, where did I put it? I did write it on my thing. It was inspired by a lady named Maria's Crafting Corner. Okay, so when we've done that, we're going to turn this way. And it's actually easier to do it with our other board. And we're going to measure 1 inch in. And we'll pop that down. And we're going to score between, there's the 1 inch, there's the 3 inch, so we're going to score between the 3 and the 5 inch mark. So we're going to pop our thing in here, and we're going to add, that's at 1 inch. Let's make sure it's nice and flush. I'm going to score just that little bit there. Then we're going to turn it around, and we're going to do the same again. So we're going to pop this in here at the 1 inch mark again. And this time we're going to do it from the other end. So we've got the 1 inch, the 3 inch, so we're going to do it from there down to there, like so. Okay, so we've got, which is not easy to see, but we're going to need that trimmer again in a minute. We have 1 inch line, 3, 5, 7, and 1 inch in on each side between the 3 and the 5 inch mark. So now we're actually going to bring in our trimmer again. Now you could do this all in one go if you wanted to. I just find it easier to do it bit by bit, so that I know that I have this in the right place. Okay, so now we're going to cut between that 3, I'm going to have to stand up so I can see, between that 3 and that 5 inch mark, at that 1 inch mark where we were. And then we're going to turn it around, and we're going to do the same again. So we're going to bring that in, and we're going to line that up at the 1 inch mark, and we're going to bring this down to the mark there. You can actually see the little notches on the end that match up, which is the 6 inch on this end, look on this end, down to the 8 inch mark, like so. Once we've done that, we're going to turn it this way. Well, turn it this way, it's actually easier. And we're going to bring it in at the 3 inch mark. And now we're going to cut from the 1 inch mark to the 5 inch mark. Which is along that score line there. Now once we've done that, you can see that we have our flap in the middle. Let me sit down again. Oh, goodness. So I'm going to turn this over, and because you can see all the roughy bits, let's move them away. And once again, I'm going to bring in just to take that rough edge off. If you had a new blade, you probably wouldn't get those marks on there, but I haven't got a new blade in there at the moment, and so we've done that. So we have our 7 inch mark here, 5, and we've cut it at the 3 up to the 5 on the sides, and from the 1 inch in to the other end, which is a 1 inch as well. Okay, let me turn the page on my thingy, and we've done the cutting. So now we're actually going to, starting at the left, this end, we're going to fold this as a valley fold, making sure that you get it nice and flush on the sides. A mountain fold. This piece in the middle we don't want to fold. We want to just fold these two ends here as valley fold. So we can keep that one as straight as possible. If we feel like it, we can actually go over the back with our bone folder. Let me just get that off there. I couldn't think of that word for it. Okay. And then the last one is another mountain fold. So we've actually got the shape of our card, like so. There, like that. But as you can see, it is a little bit wide there, so we're going to put a strap in there at a later stage. Okay, so we're going to lay this flat again, and we're going to bring in our layers, which is our 5 7/8 by 7/8, and our 5 3/4 by 3/4 of an inch. We're going to glue those two pieces together. Oh my goodness, dry glue on the back. And this is a very, very tiny edge, remember. So just be careful. It's just one of those cards that I think really needs to have the smaller edging around it. And then we're going to glue this piece into place. Which when we were putting them out before to measure them, you could see where that goes. So this one goes on this 1 inch line here, like so. So you need a paper that goes as a panorama view, not portrait. And then we're going to do the next section, which is the 1 7/8 by 5 7/8, and 1 3/4 by 5 3/4. And that's going to go into that next section, just there, like so. Then we're going to put on our pieces that go here, which are our pieces that measure, let me see how much I measure, 1 7/8 by 7/8 of an inch, and 1 3/4 by 3/4 of an inch. And you'll need 4 of those. One in that section there. One in that section there. Oops, I only put one at a time, please. That's better. One above it in the same, making sure that you get it as lined up as close as possible. And then one more just to go over this side like so. Okay, so once we've done that, we're well on our way now to having our card the way it should be. Okay, so we're going to put our writing panel on the back first, mainly because it's easier to do it while it's flat and before we've got our other piece in the middle here. So this is our piece that measures 5 7/8 by 3 7/8 and 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. So they're going to get stuck together and put onto the side just there. And we've already stamped that with the May Magic and Wonder Bloom this holiday. What about that? My first Christmas card for the year. Okay, so we're going to turn this around this way so that we have the writing up the correct way when the card is flat. Okay, so that's that section done. So we've got that on there like so. So now we've got to put our pieces in the middle here. So we're going to pop these all together first. So we have our piece that measures 6 inches by 3 7/8, I think it is. Yep. And then our 5 3/4 by 3 5/8 and our 5 what is it? 5 3/4. This is 5 3/4 by 5 7/8. This is 5 5/8. Oh, I don't know. 6 by 3 7/8. 5 7/8 by 3 3/4 and 5 3/4 by 3 5/8. So we're going to glue all of those together. We got that here in the end, didn't we? Oh, come on, get on there straight. That's better. Now, I just find it easier to put it together this way. It's not that you can't put the other piece in there first, this piece in beforehand. It's just, I found it easier to put all these panels on before I put this piece in. Okay, so this piece here is going to sit in here and it's going to be flush with the bottom of this, flush with the bottom, and it's going to be stuck up to this top bit. So we're going to pop glue. I'm going to hold this up so I can see where I'm putting the glue, right to the bottom, right along this piece, and then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to do the same on this side, leaving the gap on the side that would be your gap down the side here. If you've got a picture that is got a direction, make sure that you put it in the correct direction. So I'm going to pop that into the bottom here, lining up that bottom line across the bottom here. Once you're happy with where it's lined up, we're going to pop that down like that, make sure it's correct. And if you've got any glue sticking out the side, make sure that you get it off. And we can pop that down nice and tightly like that, so that it actually stands up in the middle like so. So this, it does stand up, honestly it does. Okay, so now we're going to put this on one side for a minute and we're going to do this strap. So this strap is optional. If you don't want to put it in, that's entirely up to you. But we're going to pop this in on the long side and we're going to score this at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inches. And then we're going to fold this in half at the 1 inch mark. and then fold each one of these up to form like an M shape. Let me. So it's going to look like an M. Can you see that? If I put it like that, you can see it's an M shape. Okay, so we're going to bring in the card, and we're going to pop this in here. So this is going to go right up against this score line that we didn't burnish. So we're going to pop that in, and it doesn't matter if you which way round you pop it. So we're going to pop it in there. I'm going to put a bit of glue onto the bottom, and it doesn't have to be right in the centre, just as close to the centre as possible, and on that line, like so. Once you're happy with that, we can then close that down like that. Pop some glue onto this piece, the other side, holding that down. I'm going to close the card over so that it folds down nicely. And as you can see, it now folds really nicely in the middle there, but it holds that card up straighter, which I think personally it looks a lot sturdier, and it doesn't seem to fall over. Okay, so now we're going to bring this down and lay it flat, and we're going to decorate the front. So I'm going to pop my Merry Christmas down here, and I'm going to pop that up on some dimensionals. Come on. And it's stuck to my fingers already. It's saying it's a bit too early. Okay, I'll pop that in the middle there, and then I've got these tiny ones, poinsettias, and I'm going to pop them onto dimensionals as well. So let's get a couple of small ones to go in the middle of those. And I'm just going to make sure that it goes up against the edge of that, like so. Oops, we don't want to cover the words, so let's move that around a bit. Come on. There. Okay, and we've got a nice big poinsettia that we're going to pop in the middle here, and I'm going to pop that one off onto dimensionals as well. So pop that into the middle, and I'm going to then put my leaves just down the side here, one just there and one from the other side over here, I think. Okay, so that's our card. Let's put the pin in the glue. Come on, get in the glue. And we'll pop our little things on. And I'm going to use the gold ones because I used a little bit of gold paper in the middle there. So I'm going to use these gold ones. And I'm going to put a small one each on these poinsettias down here. And then I'm going to put 3 of these bigger ones up here around the card so that it sparkles. I don't want them too low because you won't see them down the bottom. So that's our card for today. It's called a chair step card, and I actually think it's really pretty. I like it a real lot. It is a little bit different for sure, and it is a bit bigger being a 6x6 card, but I think they're really cute, and they make a real change to a normal card for a special occasion. So if you've enjoyed today's card, and as I say, this lays flat like so, and will fit into a 6x6 envelope. Not an issue. See, look at that, 6x6 inches, and it will, as I say, fit into a 6x6 envelope, and you can send it off to whoever you like, really, can't you? So if you've enjoyed that, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I do love to hear from you all. It's not a card for everybody, I understand that, and I do like to try all different kinds of things. So if you've enjoyed today's card, leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like the written tutorial, head down below here and you'll find the link to Di's Den for stamping, crafting and tutorials. There, that's for my Facebook group. You do have to answer the question to join the group if you haven't been a member of, if you're not a member of my group already. And I will see you all again next week. Bye for now.